Welcome to the Nut Gallery Review. We bring you the news on the media that shapes your world.
Welcome to episode 186. I'm Jason Schulte.
I'm Shaun McFadden.
And I'm Eric Anderson.
And if you didn't catch all that, you can see it in the Zoom windows.
That's right. And once again, Mr. Eric here joining us. Mr. Anstedt is not. But don't worry. He's in a 10-pin match with Sasquatch, and currently he's got Sasquatch 9 pins to 8. So we're pulling for him.
We are? Sure that's where I put my money?
We're trying to cover the spread, Jay.
All right. Well, before we derail too far, I was going to bring up that...
Why would we start now?
True.
If you don't start on the rails, you don't have to get back on the rails.
That's true.
Fair.
That's true.
What do you got, Jay?
Well, there's going to be a Weird Al biopic coming. And
there is.
I am so excited.
Daniel Radcliffe is going to play Weird Al. So
absolutely.
I wanted to know your thoughts on that, knowing that you're a pretty big Weird Al fan.
I am. I think he announced it in typical Weird Al fashion. And the fact that he's like, yes, Daniel Radcliffe is going to be playing me in this biopic, and I'm sure that generations from now, this is the role that he'll be known for. I'm like, yep, that's a Weird Al announcement.
Well, I had to verify it from a couple other sources that's
too.
Really what was happening, because I just didn't trust one source on that one.
Well, and the whole announcement feels like he was trolling us a little bit.
Yes, I will agree with that.
And I'm like, oh, well, okay, maybe, possibly, okay, sure.
Well, since I'm wearing a Batman shirt, I figured I had to have a little bit of Batman news. The Batman poster was released, and it appears to have the Penguin, Riddler, and Catwoman in it. So it does look like we'll have kind of like a throwback maybe to, the original Batman, where we had
Batman Returns.
Yeah. That didn't have the Riddler, but, I was thinking more like the 50s. Or whatever years those were.
You're thinking of like the Batman series, with Adam West.
Adam West, yep.
Yeah. Where a lot of them would show up frequently. They just rotated through like 4 villains. So
that's true.
I'm not gonna lie, if the movie ends up having one of those bam and quap, I will lose it, and that'll be the most amazing thing ever.
It would.
They're not gonna. But I'd be okay with that.
There's a Big Bang episode with Adam West in it, and it's pretty amazing. So
Adam West was just amazing to begin with. He was like, yep, I will full on embrace the hamminess. It's okay.
Yeah, and if you ever want to read some weird stuff, take a read of what he did when he was actually filming some of those shows. Holy cow. I know this has got to be somewhat family safe, so I'm not going further than that, but oh boy.
He makes reference to some of that in the Big Bang episode. But the other thing I just wanted to bring up that I feel like we fail to do is we don't necessarily toot our own horn per se. We don't talk about all the ways that you can enjoy Nut Gallery content. You can enjoy it on the website, thenutgallery.com. There is a YouTube channel. There is the podcast link right on the website.
We're a podcast. Holy cow. I'm sorry, I'm teasing.
There is Spotify. There is iTunes, Stitcher. So we're available on most every form that you can think of. But I don't feel like we always cross promote that there's more than one way. Whatever way you're finding us, there are other things that we do. And so
we appreciate listening.
Yeah, that's a simple way of saying that too. So let's roll right into the movie classic this month.
Gotta tell you that I've been used to it being at the end for so long that us hitting it right away just still jars me a little bit.
This is a metric-based decision. So
A metric-based decision. The masses have spoken, Shaun. Just listen.
that is correct. So I picked, it was my pick. So I picked Shaun of the Dead, which is a 2004 horror comedy filmed, directed by Edgar Wright. The film was written by Wright and Simon Pegg, who also stars in it, along with his friend Ed, played by Nick Frost. Shaun is got unaware by the zombie apocalypse. They attempt to take refuge in a local pub with their loved ones. And Shaun is an electronic salesman that has no direction in his life. He is disrespected by his colleagues, does not get along with his stepfather, Philip, and is dumped by his girlfriend, Liz. So, heartbroken, Shaun gets drunk with Ed, his slacker best friend, at their favorite pub, the Winchester. And then all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, you got it. Well, why don't you go ahead and start, Jay?
I thought that was pretty long, but okay.
Well, I mean, you gave us the synopsis. Tell us why you picked it. It's your classic.
You know, there's a lot of zombie films out there, and there's more like every month. And this is a zombie film that pulls in little bits of homage to other films, but does it with a lot of comedy and a lot of doesn't overly take itself serious, but it also does. So I've just always appreciated Simon Pegg in this role, and how this film came about was rocky. It was based on a spaced episode that they had done, and they had a hard time getting the financing for it. The director told people, I will not take another job until this is completed. So it was not an easy work to get done, and we would have been lesser for not having that completed. There's the slacker friend who sits on the couch and plays video games all day. There's the girlfriend who doesn't like it. And the center of all of that is the Winchester pub, where everybody needs a Winchester pub in their background, in their backyard.
All right. Do you want to jump in next, Eric? Or you want me to jump in?
Yeah, I'll jump in.
All right, go for it.
So I had seen Shaun of the Dead many years ago, and I remembered it very, very fondly. Like, oh man, Simon Pegg, oh, hilarious. I love this movie. And so I was very excited to go back and watch it again. I will admit that if I was watching this for the first time now, as opposed to back then, I don't know that I would have enjoyed it as much. Like, I think I have some fond memories maybe of people I was hanging out with at the time and whatnot. So it was okay. It wasn't, I wasn't super thrilled with it again. Like, going back, I don't think it was as great. I know that they were going for the horror comedy, duo, but I do feel like it tried to do too much. Like, it felt jarring when it was changing between comedy and horror, and the first half of it was comedy, and then it transitioned more into horror, and the end was more, there wasn't as much comedy. I had forgotten how British it was. Like, holy cow, it was some of the dialogue, I was just like, wait, what just happened? What did they say? Wow, okay, this is really British. I actually feel like it might be kind of a way ancestor of the movie which came out just recently on Netflix, which is Don't Look Up. Kind of that the world doesn't believe what's going on, and so people are just going about their lives ignoring this massive catastrophe that's happening. So I think that had a little bit like a kind of a feel of it too. But still, Simon Pegg is amazing. He's a fantastic actor. I really like him and what he's done But I think this one was just like, I feel like it was one of his first, steps as figuring out what he wanted to do as an actor. And it some of the drama, some of the stuff felt over the top. And I know that's what they were going for, but yeah, that's how it felt to me. I was shared with a little bit of information that I wanted to read. Jason, you had mentioned that this is something that pays homage to other stuff. In Shaun of the Dead, Shaun works for Foree Electric. The name is a reference to Ken Foree, who played Peter in Dawn of the Dead in 1978.
That's cool.
So just a little fun fact I thought was neat. And thank you for saying that it referenced a lot. So there's my thoughts.
Okay. I'm going to agree with a couple of your points and disagree with one of them. First off, I think that the horror comedy is probably the hardest genre to actually pull off successfully, because they're eliciting kind of two different responses from people. And I think, you can go full ham into comedy, you can go full ham into horror, but trying to kind of balance, between those two genres, I think is a bit of a trick. I actually disagree with you on the fact that you think that it was jarring going between the two of them, because I think this was one of the few that actually kind of slid nicely, because we as the audience know that, holy crap, everything has hit the fan. Shaun has no clue and is just going about his day and being, clueless to the fact that all of this is going on around him, which I thought was kind of that nice little touch there. It was still probably for me one of the funnier parts of the movie, even though there's this impending doom coming. Oh shoot, kind of lost the other points there, but I also had not seen this in many years. And that was the other point. I do agree with you, Eric, that I think Simon Pegg was still kind of stretching his legs here a little bit in this one. As it's one of his, at least to my memory, one of his earlier works there. I mean, sure, he's probably got something else out there, but this is the one that we can all kind of look to and go, okay, hey, this is, Simon Pegg. We recognize him as this lead and everything there. And I do think he carries the lead well in this movie. Having taken a little bit more of a critical eye to it, for this podcast here, I honestly, I don't think I enjoyed it as much the second time around as I did the first time. And you might have hit it there, Eric, that it might be one of those movies that kind of benefits you hanging out with some friends, watching, and just kind of, once laughing gets going, everything else kind of amplifies a little bit. Because I remembered some of the parts, especially with like the initial zombie of Shaun and Ed coming back from the Winchester, I was like, yeah, I remember that came up, and I got a little chuckle out of that. I was like, okay, cool, it's still there. So overall thoughts to kind of get in here, taking a look at this a second time. First off, the one that surprised me is I don't like the character of Ed. And first time I watched it, I was like, just leave him alone. Jesus, he's just trying to, play some video games, enjoy life, whatever. This time I was kind of more like, what are you doing? Like, why are you messing everything up here? Like, I don't know. Several times, like, specifically, like, had he thought about what he was doing for more than half a second, situations wouldn't have happened. But that was his hanger on. And of course, his girlfriend Liz has David and his girlfriend, which also are her roommates, which I thought was kind of, that opening at the Winchester of them kind of showing, hey, can't we hang out alone, even though all these hanger-ons come with us everywhere we go. I thought that was pretty nice to show. Also, I really didn't like the character of David. And I get that we're not supposed to be overly fond of him, but man, that was that was something I do not remember. That kind of like that spark ignited in the gut. I'm like, wow, I really don't like him. Yeah, and even though I felt bad about what happened to him, but yeah, it's I don't know. Maybe it hasn't quite aged as well as it did, because when it came out, it was, I want to say it was on the tail end of kind of the big giant, like we had zombie movie after zombie movie after zombie movie and zombie games. That was just the glut of it, and I think this was near the tail end of it. So maybe that was just the fact that it was kind of making fun of zombie movies itself a little bit. We found funny, but Jay, did you have any other thoughts?
Well, I'm on the opposite end as I usually am.
Okay.
Actually, the first time I watched it back when it came out, I didn't actually really like it. And it wasn't until I was exposed more to Simon Pegg and his style, the very British feel,
Yes.
that I started to appreciate it more. And I think, Eric, to your point, I think this is when Simon Pegg arrived in America, was with this film. I think most of the other stuff was British television that he had done prior to that. And so this was really kind of his arrival.
I think everything else came after that, like Hot Fuzz and him being in the Star Trek movies. That was all subsequent to this.
Right.
Correct.
So this was kind of his arrival. And so I think the first time I saw it, I wasn't really sure how to take him, but I liked it. I just didn't, I wasn't like, yeah, this is the best ever then. And I don't think then I would have called it a movie classic where I would now. So my tone softened the more I've watched this. And Shaun, your point of it's hard to get the horror comedy right. And I think if you looked through the Evil Dead series, you could see where they struggled with that and then they succeeded. So it doesn't always happen right away.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I feel like it has a very British ending to it. Very, very much, I don't want to say it's Monty Python, but it ends kind of similar to, like, it just kind of ends. But yeah, I guess I stand by. I think that when people talk about zombie movies, this usually comes up. And
that is true. Absolutely.
If it wasn't a movie classic, I don't know that would be the case.
That's a strong point for it. Absolutely. I mean, and they do mention it in the same breath as Day of the Dead and things like that. And those are top tier zombie movies, things that shape the genre itself. And while I don't think Shaun of the Dead shaped the genre at all, the fact that you mentioned that, yeah, the people mention them in that same thought, that it had to have done something right.
I think your point, Shaun, about it being kind of at the tail end and kind of the capstone, if you will, to the large glut of zombie movies that was there.
The zombie craze.
Yeah, exactly. That zombie craze. Because I was even trying to think, I'm pretty sure like the Left 4 Dead games came out right at that same time.
Yep.
And you're right. There was a whole passel of zombie movies, and like 28 Days Later, and a lot of stuff is right about that time. And I think you're right. This was kind of the capstone of all of them. So for that reason, I can say, yeah, it kind of deserves to be its own classic statement.
Yeah, it's an interesting movie because as we have all said, it's very British and it has the British humor there, which honestly, I knew it was a British movie, and then they start going and you're like, right, got to dial that back in there, because when you're not quite ready for it, it kind of sideswipes you there a little bit. And so some of the humor, I'm sure, has slid past me because I didn't quite understand what was going on there, but the situations were easy enough to get there. And I do enjoy this movie, and I don't know that I would have called it a classic on its own, but Jay makes a solid point. People do mention this whenever a zombie movie is brought up, and if that's the case, man, it's got to be a classic.
Well, where else would you ever find zombie battles with a records and a cricket paddle
Oh my god!
and
You know, I laughed when he grabbed the cricket bat the first time I saw this movie. I laughed because that's such a British thing to grab. I'm like, man, that's so funny. And then I was watching it a little bit closely, and I'm like, actually, the cricket bat works perfectly for him. It's like it's nice and wide to push him away. He's literally just jabbing him with it, and then when it comes time to smack him on the head, he's got that big old flat side just to thunk him right on the head. I'm like, did Simon Pegg accidentally stumble upon the greatest zombie weapon of all time?
One of the things that I actually wanted to mention, which I thought was amazing, is the couple of cameos that's actually in the movie from the other group that's kind of like the opposite of them, their group going the opposite.
The clone group, yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I apologize. I'm terrible with actor names, but the second guy who was in a row, who played Bilbo from The Hobbit.
Martin Freeman.
Martin Freeman being in it. The last guy in the group who is Ed's like analogous person, he's the guy that's one of the new hosts of the Great British Bake Off. Like I totally you sit there going, oh my gosh, that's that person. Like, wow, I didn't realize who all was in this movie. And I thought it was pretty hilarious. And for me, the iconic thing about the movie is always the repetitious, sorry, Philip, thump, just over and over. I love it. It's great. So
and that's Bill Nighy, right? As Philip?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I forget that he's in there because he's such a bloody icon. Let's be honest. And you're like, okay, because at the time Simon Pegg was really kind of a no name. Edgar Wright. All of these actors they may have done some stuff in the UK to where they might get recognized, but over here in the States, these were all nobodies at the time.
Right.
And then freaking Bill Nighy steps out, and you're like, what are you doing? Did you owe someone a favor? What is going on? But yeah. And the small spoiler alert warning. So if you want to skip the spoiler, jump ahead like 2 minutes. The interactions with Shaun and Philip and his mom, I was like, wow, I can't believe they're bringing that out in a horror comedy. That still, after knowing it was coming, everything like that, I was like, oh, okay. And it caught me off guard again. And it's still, that may have cemented him more than any other comedy bit as showing me he was an actor, is that bit right there. So that's my thoughts then on Shaun of the Dead.
All right. Well, it sounded like we're all in agreement finally that I've talked my way into it, which I didn't think I was going to have that much trouble, but
it's a good movie, and I would not call it a great movie. It's a good movie, but when I can't refute your point. When people talk about zombie movies, they bring up Shaun of the Dead, and that's got to mean something.
And I do think it's better with the right group of people you're watching with. Like
I agree. Yeah,
I would put it on equivalent, like it's the British version of like a Silent Bob movie.
Okay.
You would have, those are better watching with people than just sitting by yourself watching them.
That's fair. Yeah, I can see that.
And I kind of get some of that same, like the two people, and so I feel like there's some comparables there.
For me, the similar one is Dude, Where's My Car? Like by yourself, sure, not very great, but watching with other people, hilarious.
And then,
I knew it was coming.
And then. All right. Well, let's close the door on this and move on. So February movies.
February movies. All right.
Starting right off with Moonfall on February 4th. It is PG-13 for violence, disaster, action, strong language, and some drug use. In Moonfall, a mysterious force knocks the moon from its orbit around Earth and sends it hurtling on a collision course with life as we know it. With mere weeks before impact and the world on the brink of annihilation, NASA executive and former astronaut Jo Fowler is convinced she has the key to saving us all, but only one astronaut from her past, Brian Harper, and a conspiracy theorist, Casey Hausman, believes her. These unlikely heroes will mount an impossible last-ditch mission into space, leaving behind everyone they love, only to find out that the moon is not what we think it is. It's directed by Roland Emmerich.
Well, I mean, even if we survive the moon hitting the Earth, we're not surviving long after. But yeah, this is the thing that always catches me about this trailer is, they're literally telling officials, hey, this catastrophe is coming. Let's come back to that later. There's not gonna be a later.
Don't look up.
I'm actually really excited for this. I think they've might have hit on something that could be pretty good. You got Halle Berry in it, Patrick Wilson, John Bradley from Game of Thrones. So there's some people in there that I think could make this work.
I do agree. Yep.
I think it's kind of fascinating that they take a lot of ideas, like historical ideas, the moon colliding with Earth, a couple billion years ago, Theia, and then becoming the moon. It's like, hey, look, we could do that again and make it into a cool movie nowadays. Like, it's just a fascinating thing where they're pulling some ideas from.
And there's enough mystery there on what's going on that you kind of want to know what they came up with, and you're hoping. I mean, I think that's going to make or break this film. If that mystery isn't solid and it's weak, you're going to be like, oh, what a ripoff. But,
right. I agree.
That's no moon.
Also, February 4th is Jackass Forever. I don't think I need to say much more than you'll get more shenanigans from the Jackass crew.
Who's 20 years older, 30 years older? Like, how old are they now?
Enough that they need to start qualifying for AARP soon.
Ooh,
well, you're just wondering when a hip's going to go.
Yeah.
That's their cash cow, so I guess I'll let them have it.
Hey, everybody, I'm Johnny Knoxville. This is Jackass.
Well, he played the old man character in some of those, so he'll actually be the old man character one of these days. He won't have to put the makeup on. He'll have to dress up as a young Johnny Knoxville.
Man, do they have the budget to de-age Johnny Knoxville? I'm just saying.
I really would like to find the old MTV episodes when they started, because they were a little more friendly for a child. Because my son has seen. We turned on the movie one day until I realized how really bad their first movie was, inappropriate for him it was. So I wish I could get my hands on that.
And the bad thing is they do it on a dime. Yeah. Like, it's fine. It's not fine.
Yeah. It's not okay.
Yeah. And that, yeah. Anyways, we'll move on to February 11th with Blacklight. It is PG-13 for strong violence, action, and language. Liam Neeson stars as Travis Block. Do I need to go on, or do you already know what the movie's about?
I do not. Go on.
Oh, I was just saying it's Liam Neeson. So
it's Liam Neeson. Yeah. I was actually waiting to see if it was another I Will Find You.
Oh, yeah. A freelance government operative living on the fringes and coming to terms with a shadowy past. When he discovers an undercover team that's targeting U.S. citizens, Block finds himself in the crosshairs of the FBI director he once helped protect.
Do you feel like Liam Neeson is getting typecast nowadays? I'm just...
Yeah. He's been typecast for a decade now. Yeah. At least.
Although I feel like we could subtly call him Red. Yeah. Anyway.
Also, February
Retired,
11th.
Extremely Dangerous.
Also, February 11th is Death on the Nile. It is PG-13. Belgian sleuth Hercule Poirot's Egyptian vacation aboard a glamorous river steamer turns into a terrifying search for a murder when a picture-perfect couple's idyllic honeymoon is tragically cut short. Set against an epic landscape of sweeping desert vistas and the majestic pyramids, the mystery will unfold. Stars Kenneth Branagh, Ali Frazel, Gal Gadot, Tom Bateman, Armie Hammer. This film does reunite the filmmaking team behind Murder on the Orient Express.
Which was very good. It was fantastic. And especially the guy playing Perot. Yeah, he's, man, very good.
And it's the same guy.
Yeah.
And Gal Gadot is one of the couple, part of the people on their honeymoon. So it does have some, it looks good. And Murder on the Express was really set this up to that they know how to do a period piece.
I was only mildly intrigued in Murder in the Orient Express. I really saw it because my fiance wanted to see it. And I was like, okay, sure. And I was very quickly drawn into it, way more than I thought I was going to be. Because, you know, it's like, oh, okay, sure, whatever. And then it was like, oh no, they made a mystery movie and you're going to pay attention.
See, that was the thing I was going to say. I'm sorry, real quick. I feel like mystery movies can sometimes be more challenging movies to actually draw you in and make it like, oh, what's actually happening? Like,
if they've got the hook, they can do it. Yeah.
I'm excited for it.
February 11th also has Marry Me coming out. It is PG-13. And if I tell you that the star of this is Jennifer Lopez, again, does that tell you all you need to know? Title is Marry Me, and it stars Jennifer Lopez.
And Owen Wilson.
So to make it even more like, I thought it was going to be a biopic on Jennifer Lopez, starring Jennifer Lopez, because Kat Valdez is half of the sexiest celebrity power couple on earth with hot new music, Supernova, Bastion. As Kat and Bastion's inescapable hit single, Marry Me, climbs the charts, they are about to be wed before an audience of their fans in a ceremony that will be streamed across multiple platforms. Again, feels like a Jennifer Lopez biopic. It stars Jennifer Lopez, Jimmy Fallon, Owen Wilson, and Sarah Silverman.
Okay, so watching the trailer for this, it seems like she just picks Owen Wilson pretty much out of the crowd at one of her concerts. I thought that's what was going on. She just was like, he was holding up a sign that said "Marry Me," and she was like, "All right, yeah, sure, let's do this." So, okay, I was actually more interested in the ludicrous concept.
There's a piece about Owen Wilson is there with his daughter or something that I like. I stopped caring, but to keep putting that into the synopsis. So probably not on my list of top, 40, and there's not even 40 movies coming out. So
next moving on Jason's top 40.
Moving on to February 18th, and I don't feel like it's getting any better, is a movie called Dog.
I don't know this one, so you're going to have to tell me. I don't know this.
Dog is a buddy comedy that follows the misadventures of two former Army Rangers paired against their will on a road trip of a lifetime.
Oh!
Army Ranger Briggs, played by Channing Tatum, and Lulu, a Belgium Malinois dog, buckle into a 1984 Ford Bronco and race down the Pacific coast in hopes of making it to a fellow soldier's funeral on time. Along the way, they drive each other completely crazy, break a small handful of laws, narrowly evade death, and learn to let down their guards in order to have a fighting chance of finding happiness.
The only bad thing about this is we really know what's going to happen in this movie just from the trailer and everything. And Channing Tatum does, for his credit, actually sell his role in it. But yeah, I don't need to see this movie.
Agreed. It's probably going to be funny, tearjerker, and moving on.
Yeah.
it just feels like a story that we've already somewhat heard many times. So I don't need to see it. I've already put too much time into it. Also, February 18th is Uncharted, based on the prequel storyline of the Uncharted video game, with the focus on the young thief Drake and his first encounter with the professional rogue Sullivan. Stars Mark Wahlberg and Tom Holland.
Which everything's coming up Tom Holland for him.
Well, I hope this does well. I've only limited exposure to the video games, so I'm not. They always look cool, like when they advertise them, and you're like, "Oh, Uncharted 77 is out," and you're like, "Oh, okay, cool." But they always look cool.
Yeah. Well, evidently, this is Tom Holland's favorite video game series. So to be able to star as the main character in your favorite video game series, yeah. And let's just not even mention the fact that, when asked a few years ago who his, celebrity crush was, he responded with Zendaya, and now he's dating Zendaya. I mean, everything's coming up Tom Holland. Go Tom.
I have a funny feeling that because I'm not as interested in the Uncharted games, this video or this movie, which is based on video games, is actually not going to be too bad. Like, it's going to be one of the few video game movies that's like, oh yeah, that's actually a really good one. And I'm gonna be like, I don't know anything about it. Sorry.
That does happen. What was it? It was Prince of Persia came out, and I had never played any of the Prince of Persia games, and I was like, this isn't bad. Why are people getting upset? But evidently, people who were familiar with the source material were quite upset, and I was like, oh, I don't have that. So,
right,
yeah, I thought Prince of Persia was decent as well.
Yeah.
If it would have been not had that name and just was released as an adventure film, I think it would have been fine. But
perhaps.
February 25th, The Desperate Hour, also PG-13. Recently widowed mother Amy Carr, played by Naomi Watts, is doing her best to restore normalcy to the lives of her young daughter and teenage son in their small town. As she's on a jog in the woods, she finds her town thrown into chaos as a shooting takes place at her son's school. Miles away on foot in the dense forest, Amy desperately races against time to save her son. My only concern with this is, and I think it's a great story, I've always liked Naomi Watts, but I feel like this hits way too close to home for some people.
Thank you.
I was going to say, is this an American biopic? Like, what's happening right now?
Yeah.
I mean,
it may need attention, but making a movie off of it, maybe I think feels like the wrong move.
I know how I feel every time I get a message from my son's school that says they're on lockdown, and you're just like, you're tense because you just don't.
Yep.
I mean, it could happen in any town at any time in the United States. And so I hope that they do it justice, because I feel there'll be people with a lot of emotion around that have either been in situations close to that or been actually in those situations.
Yeah, agreed.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, February 25th, The Outfit. Recently, well, I didn't even do a thing for that. So,
but it shows how much attention it gathered for you, huh?
Yeah. So there is a movie called The Outfit coming out February 25th. Check it out if you want to.
Oh man, with that rounding endorsement there.
So I guess I'm leaning towards my top pick being Death on the Nile. I would go Moonfall as 2 and Uncharted as 3.
I actually think I agree with you 100% on that.
I would just switch the last two. I'm Death on the Nile for sure, and then Uncharted is 2, and Moonfall. Sure, okay, cool.
Yeah, we're all agreed on the top 3. Just the order might switch up a little bit,
and that's rare.
It is rare,
but it is February.
I was gonna say, is it February? Because that could be. And I'd also like to point out as a reminder, the sad, unfortunate that Morbius was pushed back. So that's a bummer that we were all looking forward to in January.
Yeah, but with a movie that's as CGI reliant as Morbius is going to be, I'd rather them go, this isn't ready yet.
Was
Fair
that
enough.
the reasoning, or was it because they just failed to do any promotion of it?
I was going to say, you did mention that.
It's finally started to get some, but yeah, I'm hoping that it does well.
This
But-
is how bad their promotion has been. When I was prepping today for this, I was like, what was that movie that I said they better start promoting? And I had to sit and think about it for a minute because there's been so little work done
Yeah.
to promote that movie. I think people that aren't actively involved in some sort of movie, something or other, don't even know it exists.
It's true, unfortunately. Yeah, they're not doing a great job with promoting it, which always worries me.
But in subtle defense, not saying it's acceptable, but the fact of the matter is they did not go heavy on promoting like Shang-Chi, and it still did rather well, especially on a not so great time frame in release window.
That's fair, though. By my memory, I think Shang-Chi still got a little bit more promotion than we've seen from Morbius.
That's true. I will agree with that.
So at least people knew it was coming. All right, shall we move on?
We shall. You're up.
All right, so we've got the home releases for February movies. We're kicking it off with the week of February 1st. We've got Ghostbusters Afterlife, which I would actually really like to see. I did not get a chance to see that in the theater.
At least
we've
heard
got-
good things about it.
I really want to see it. And if nothing else, the what was it 2016 Ghostbusters, the all-female Ghostbusters, I didn't think was that bad. It was different. It wasn't as strong as the old Ghostbusters, but it certainly did not deserve all the hate it got, and it was ridiculous in the amount of backlash that it got, and I didn't understand. So I really want to see this one.
I think its biggest flaw, that one, is people went into it with an expectation that the writers, directors, and actresses never even considered that there was going to be a whole lot of expectation, and they weren't even going nowhere near that direction with it.
Yeah, that's fair. Also coming out, we've got Clifford the Big Red Dog, which, oh boy, I'm worried when we have a child's book that has a sentence or two per page, and there's 20 pages, and we're going to turn that into
Feature-length film,
a feature-length movie. Yeah, exactly.
Well, to be fair, it had a pretty long-running TV series on PBS.
True, which
So-
were what, but 24 minutes.
Yeah, but I mean,
but-
you put two of those together and you have a movie, or three.
That's true. That's
So-
true. That is true. Week of February 8th. Everyone has been talking about it, and if you don't have Disney Plus, you can watch it now too. Encanto.
My son loved it. Might be his favorite Disney film at this point,
He
He,
does
like-
latch on to the newer ones there.
and he sings songs from it, and it's
there's a lot of songs in that one. Oh my gosh, it's like every 2 minutes.
It is. It is.
They just club you over the head with it. Just saying.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Then we have Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City, which I can't believe we're still making the Resident Evil movies, but continuing on. King Richard, which, speaking of something that they did put money behind for marketing, with Will Smith there. It's the story of Venus and Serena, of course. We have Golden Voices, and I grabbed the bumper for this one because I did not remember us talking about it. Victor and Rhea are Israeli voice actors who found film success in an unusual way. They provided dubbing for films shown in the Soviet Union. They translated what Hollywood icons like Kirk Douglas, Gregory Peck, and Rita Hayworth were saying for Russian audiences. Originally from Russia, the Jewish couple fled the USSR when it began to crumble and emigrated to Israel. Now they no longer have voiceover jobs and they are trying to fit into society. Then coming from DC Animated, we have Catwoman Hunted, a movie about her teaming up with Batwoman, actually, to hunt down some supervillains.
They always do well with their animations. I think they don't get the recognition that they should, but they're almost always good.
I know we've said it before, but DC Animated is superior to the Marvel side of things, and Marvel's got the live action one going better. But the animated ones, DC's got it, man. They've got it nailed down.
I think they need just enough of the offness to it, I guess, that you need animation to pull that off.
Well, they're not afraid to lean into the source material, which is always a good thing when you're telling a story. People have attachments to these characters, and they're not afraid to get a little goofy with characters that are a little goofy. And like the Harley Quinn series that is running on
HBO Max.
Thank you. Is completely over the top and is a very different telling of the story. But people are enjoying it. I'm enjoying it just because it's, characters we know, but we've taken them and twisted them a little bit, and it's fun.
I was going to say, I feel like the Marvel What If series is basically the first Marvel cartoon comic or media that I've seen that I've actually been like, okay, this is actually really good. But the DC ones have consistently been better over the years.
No, I won't fight you on that. They have been very good. Though I feel like the ones that Marvel did really well are the ones that flew right under the radar. Like a lot of the Stephen Strange and like the Night Squad and everything like that. Those are really good movies, but they're all B and C list heroes that no one really knows. So, all right, continuing on. Let's see here. The Hating Game. You want to talk about a movie we've seen 400 times already, Jay. Two execs of opposite sex fight for a promotion and their feelings for each other. Yeah, sorry. We're going to move on. Week of February 15th, Eternals comes out. And did everyone...
For general release.
Right?
Yeah,
a home movie.
I think it's already on Disney Plus, isn't it?
It is. That's how I saw it. So, and I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. Because I didn't think I was going to enjoy it at all. Because generally speaking, I've never really cared about the Eternals, and I was like, all right, I'll watch it. And I was like, oh, okay, they actually turned out a good movie on this, so I enjoyed. Let's see here, what do we got next? Monday, with starring Sebastian Stan. Lawyer and a free spirit have to figure out their relationship. And if you can watch that trailer and figure out something else, then let me know, because that was pretty much all I got out of it. The week of February 22nd, we've got House of Gucci, with several names attached to it, but the big two being Lady Gaga and Adam Driver. Then we have The Kingsman, which is one that I had wanted to see and was not able to do so. Very much a fan of Kingsman, so curious to see where they're going with it. And finally, rounding it up, we've got American Underdog, the story of Kurt Warner in the NFL for those that are not in the States here. And
Didn't this just come out last month?
I
don't know.
I was gonna say, and this is just a question I wanted to throw to you two because I'm not as like into this as you. Is it just me, or do movies that get released in the theater seem like they're coming out to video much, much faster?
Oh, absolutely.
Like King Richard, I remember just seeing the previews in the theater for being released in the theater like in December, I want to say. Maybe
Yeah,
November.
just a couple months ago. Yeah.
I think they're trying to
Go ahead, Jay.
I think they're trying to maximize their advertising dollar, because then they can just roll right into the video release or the home release. And especially now that everybody, I don't know that theaters are really back. I mean, actually, I know they're not really back. So I think that it makes sense to try to get all the revenue streams as fast as you can before interest has waned or something else. I mean, we are the squirrel culture, right? It's like, ooh, squirrel, and you're like already off onto something else.
Yeah.
You can look at probably any of our board game collections and realize how many times we went, oh, squirrel, walking through a game store.
I feel personally attacked by that statement, Jason. Could you not call me out like that on camera? Like, I'm just saying.
I'm sitting with like piles of games around me, so it was really a self-depreciating comment. But yeah, carry on.
You're right. It's not, like in the 90s where a movie came out and you had to wait, almost an entire year for it to come out, and that was like, oh yeah, I remember that, I think. So yeah.
Well, think Lord of the Rings. It would come out in like December, Christmas time in theaters, and then by like the next Christmas season, you're getting the extended cut release.
Yep, it was usually like,
and the next
October.
film.
Yep, yeah. So, yeah, that is all of your video game home releases there.
I don't know where to really slide this in, but for non-athletic people that still enjoy watching sports, the Winter Olympics will be starting by the time this podcast rolls out. So I'll be spending some time watching some Winter Olympics, I'm sure. It's just nice.
Curling.
Yeah, I love curling. My wife hates it. Makes it even more fun to put on.
I can only imagine.
But yeah, there's still a lot of fun events, watching some insane person sitting on like 8 ounces of plastic and going 100 miles an hour down an ice hill. Takes a level of insanity that even I can't reach.
Well, you want to talk about some well done marketing, the cross marketing with the Olympics and Jurassic Park have been like, what? Where did you come up with that? That was fantastic.
And Spider-Man and the insurance company, those were good too.
Yes.
The spider bite. Did I do it?
Well,
let's get on to video games before we
all right, there is quite a list, so I am just gonna plow through them here. The Waylanders coming to PC on February 2nd. Sherlock Holmes Crime and Punishment coming to the Switch on February 3rd. Dying Light 2 Stay Human coming to pretty much everything on February 4th.
Did either of you play Dying Light?
I tried it. It's not my type of game.
I didn't play it, no.
Did you? I had one on my list since we both did our list knowing that Mike wouldn't be here, and that is Life is Strange.
I did play that one too. That one's fun.
Yeah. It has so many awards that I just like. I was like, I hadn't even really heard of this. But so they're doing a remastered version that has both games in it. It's coming out February 1st. So I just wanted to ask you guys, since you had played it, it's good to hear that it's good, because I was like, why is this winning all these awards? It's got like more awards than it does letters in its title.
It's a game that really its story sucks you in, and it gives you this ability to, like, I don't want to give anything about the game away, but to experience all of it, like, and then make your choices. It's pretty wild. Like, I highly recommend if you get a chance to try it.
Sorry to just derail you, Shaun.
That's all right. Ollie World coming for everything. February 8th. Sifu coming to PlayStation systems on February 8th. Backbone coming to the Switch February 9th. Crossfire X to the Xbox systems February 10th. Edge of Eternity for looks like the newer systems there, February 10th. Kingdom Hearts 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue. Yep, that's its name. To the Switch on February 10th. Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 and 2.5 remix coming to the Switch. And Kingdom Hearts 3 coming to the Switch, all on February 10th. So if you can, do multiplication by fractions, you may be able to play Kingdom Hearts. Know by Heart coming to PC on February 10th. Lost Ark to the PC, February 11th. Dynasty Warriors 9 Empires coming to pretty much everything on February 15th, which that is probably going to be the one I'm actually looking at, because that is a fun game, at least back in the day.
They have added a lot of things to it that makes it a little more challenging, I will say that, but it still is pretty good.
Rumbleverse coming to looks like everything but the Switch, February 15th. The Ezio Collection for Assassin's Creed coming to Switch on the 17th. King of Fighters 15 to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, S, and PC, and of course the PS4. Total War Warhammer 3 coming to the PC February 17th.
So Shaun,
surprise there. Yes.
So just so you know, I just bought Total War 1.
I have it as well.
Oh, great. Because when my wife saw the charge come through, I said, I bought this so I could play with Shaun. So keep that on the down low. But I really feel like this engine was designed for this. I mean, I know they made like Rome and all kinds of different settings for this, but it feels like this was the setting that this was designed for.
They meshed really well. It did come together pretty well.
The campaign mode is what we've always wanted to achieve when we played like campaigns of Warhammer like Fantasy, right?
Shadow of the Horned Rat and everything. Yeah.
I mean, the campaign mode is awesome. I'm only a few hours into it, but I've just enjoyed. I feel like the controls sometimes are a little clunky, like getting the camera to move always to where you want it, and being able to click on and do what you want. But that's really
pretty much a legacy of Total War, though.
Yeah,
that's always been the case.
I will agree. I do feel like the Warhammer series was meant for Total War in the same way that the Dawn of War series was meant for like the StarCraft style gameplay. Like they play very perfectly for those types of games.
Agreed. Absolutely. All right. Let's see here. Horizon Forbidden West coming to PlayStation systems February 18th. Monarch.
I watched that, the whole trailer, like 8 minutes of trailer, and I still like didn't understand. Like it looks like there's raiders on robotic dinosaurs that can't be killed but somehow can, and I don't know. I just I wanted to like it because it looks beautiful, but I just
it looks great.
Did you play Horizon Zero Dawn or not?
No.
My girlfriend played it and she loved it. She beat the game and she's really excited for the next one. So
good. Because it looks fantastic, but I just
what is happening
in the game? Does the character make like all of these like self dialogue, like, "Oh, I'm gonna swim now"? And
so I haven't played it, so I can't say yes or no to that.
Okay.
But she loved it.
She does talk to herself a bit. Yes.
Okay.
I can't claim too much knowledge because I think I played about 2 hours of it and then I got distracted with something else.
Ooh,
So,
squirrel.
I squirreled. Yeah, absolutely. Soul Cresta coming to PlayStation 4, Switch, PC on February 22nd. The Edge of Eternity comes to Switch February 23rd. What a name.
Can I
Martha
can I
is
jump
dead.
in again?
Absolutely.
Destiny 2 has the Witch Queen coming out
February 22nd.
February 22nd. Major expansion at Destiny 2. But I was sitting here thinking, like, when did Destiny 2 come out? Because it's been a long time ago.
Yeah, several
It was
years now.
2017, and it's still going this strong is amazing. I played it for a while and I've kind of put it away and not played it again in a long time. But every time one of these expansions come out, I'm like, maybe I got to pull that out again. And there aren't many games that you can say started in 2017 and are still getting major expansions like this. So
I just got back into it recently. I think I had mentioned that last month that I had picked it back up and I was starting to play it. Like they actually may have finally cracked the code on like a good, compelling story that makes you really kind of get pulled in. And I'm impressed, no joke. And I'm going to get Witch Queen to see where they go with it because it's pretty cool.
All right. Let's see here. Martha is Dead coming to everything Sans Nintendo February 24th. Elden Ring, again, everything except the Switch, February 25th.
that has material provided to it by George R.R. Martin. So it looks pretty awesome.
And finally, Grid Legends for everything except the Switch, February 25th.
Yeah, and that one's got some like you can create your own events type, like a creation mode, which is kind of a new concept, I think, in racing games.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're gonna try to break into a racing game, you got to have something to set you apart. You know, because that's a genre that it has plenty of choices out there. So
I was gonna say the last major thing that I feel like was added to a racing game that really kind of pulled me in was the Burnout series.
that was and I'll agree with you there.
I
That
like
was just
the Forza Horizons where it had kind of an open world feel to it,
fun.
and those kind of pulled me in for a while.
My daughter loved playing that. She hunted down everything on the map.
Yeah,
just
like the
so
hidden
that-
cars and
she was looking for, like, there was some achievement for like driving on every road in the game, and so she was like, oh, okay, I haven't driven here yet, and she just cruise around, listen to her music, drive around in her car, and I'm like, okay, enjoy it, have fun.
yeah. And I saw that there's supposed to be in February an Evil Dead game coming out, but even on their website it says coming soon February, but it doesn't say a date.
And there's really no finished product material, so I was like, this isn't ready yet.
February 2023.
Well, it's kind of funny because the website has the pre-order and everything going, and it looks interesting. But I'm concerned because it has a co-op mode where you're working with friends to find loot, manage your fear, seal breaches between the worlds, and send the bad guy back. But it also references that you can play as the bad guy. So I don't know if you do that in co-op mode or in the multiplayer, because there's also a multiplayer mode, which really felt like Friday the 13th in the multiplayer.
Yes, thank you.
So I'm just wondering if they're trying to do too much. Like that might be why they can't pick a date, because they're trying to pull off too many things. They're trying to have a great PvP experience plus having this co-op mode. And I feel like the two modes aren't the same like game. It's not like dropping into Halo and the PvP is not that much different than the actual game. You know, the rest of the
It's
game.
the same skills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'll stop now.
That is the video game releases.
All right. Well, I think that brings us to what have we been up to lately. And we, as a family, the three of us here, have jumped back into Minecraft like pretty hardcore. They had a really significant release. It has made it deeper and higher.
Yes.
It's added more blocks. It's added a lot of stuff. And so we've been playing that 2 or 3 nights a week together for an hour or 2 or 4. Started a new world because trying to fit all those updates into the old world we were working in just didn't work very well. And so that's been a big part of my video game time, has been right to Minecraft. And I read Second Chance, that was written by James Patterson a while ago, but I was just going through his Women's Murder Club series, set in San Francisco, and there's the 4 lead characters are all female, solving murders. One's a lieutenant, a detective, one is the assistant DA, one is the medical examiner, and the other one's the reporter. So they work together to solve the murders. So that was the second book in the series. It was not as good as the first one, but it was pretty good. And I'm currently reading the third one. And then I watched 21 and 22 Jump Street. I had not watched them before, and so we were talking about Channing Tatum earlier. I really enjoyed the movies. I thought they were pretty fun. I really enjoyed the end of 22 Jump Street, where they went through the next 40 possible films as part of the credits. And so they go to the seminary, and they go to military camp, and they go to so that's kind of fun. And in one of those like fake movie trailers, Jonah, which I can't remember, Seth Rogen was replaced by Jonah Hill.
Oh.
And Channing Tatum is like, what happened to the other guy? And he's like, what? I've always been here. It's hilarious because right now I can't even remember which one's which. So,
oh boy. Oh man. So what I have been up to, still been enjoying StarCraft 2, playing that. Have been playing a little bit of Evil Genius 2. My daughter and I also have been playing Minecraft, and I know what you're talking about because she and I fired it up, and we kind of wandered around a little bit, and I was like, do you remember what we were doing here? She was like, no. I'm like, do you want to just create a new world? Yeah. Like, okay, all right. So we've been having fun doing that. And I did start reading The Necropolis Empire by Tim Pratt. It's a book that is set in the Twilight Imperium world of the board game there. And as far as movies, I actually just watched The Warriors for the first time. When I had mentioned that I had not seen it yet, my fiance took that personally, and we watched The Warriors, which was actually really good. Of course, a movie that people would talk about, 50 some years later, of course it'd be good, but yeah, it was pretty good movie, and I enjoyed that. And past that, been keeping up with Book of Boba Fett and Peacemaker, and just this week finished the live action adaptation, Netflix's adaptation of Cowboy Bebop. So that is what I have been up to.
Well, For me, I've been enjoying Destiny, as I mentioned, and I'm extremely looking forward to the expansion coming out. I actually just in the last couple of days stumbled upon a brand new game that was introduced to me by a 6-year-old. It's on Steam. It's called Mini Motorways. It's the best I can describe is it's like Tetris, but you're putting down city streets and linking houses to stores. It's very simplistic, it's very minimalistic, but the problem is the roads that you build, new things appear, and so you have to create intersections, and then it causes traffic jams, and the stores can't get the people they want, and all of a sudden it's like your entire city's just falling apart because there's traffic jams everywhere. Seriously, I didn't think I was going to enjoy it, but I played it and I'm like, wow, I'm kind of hooked on this. This is really fun. I actually have been playing some Minecraft as well with my girlfriend and having a good time with that. I have a deep shame that I have to admit. I enjoy playing survival style and like just doing everything myself and whatnot. And after searching for something in the game for literally hours and not being able to find it and dying repeatedly in the nether, I had to ask her to use a console command to find what I was looking for. I was ashamed of myself.
Oh,
I was brutal.
do you feel a little dirty?
I do. I feel a little dirty.
A little dirty.
But I feel like they finally added so much they can't easily give you everything you need. It was a thing.
I feel like it's harder. Like if you're splunking for something, you're going to die.
Well, in this case, I was specifically looking for the things you need to do alchemy, which is in the nether, and you have to find a specific nether fortress, and they don't spawn all the time. So like the nearest one was like miles away in the wrong direction. So I was just like, I was never going to find this. Anyway, reading wise, I actually did finally break back into the Wheel of Time series, and so I started with the prologue series or the prologue story, and I just finished that and starting the first book again. I still have not watched the series on TV, and I'm a little hesitant to, so I don't know if that's going to happen or when.
That's what I hear.
Yeah. So hopefully maybe this time I'll get through the series and actually get to the ending, with Brandon Sanderson writing his parts of it and get to experience all of it. So we'll see.
That's a good time.
And I realized that they're using the Game of Thrones formula to do a Wheel of Time series instead of movies. But you would think that as successful as Lord of the Rings was, The Hobbit was, Dune, not really fantasy, but still sci-fi, that they would be a little more willing to look at some of these franchises as movies instead of always going right to series.
I see where you're going, Jay, but with this, I'd rather them have done the series. I think there's too much material that they would have missed had they tried to put it into a trilogy or something like that.
I agree. But I really wish they would have gone more the route of The Witcher rather than Game of Thrones.
Well, I just don't know that the series will be well enough received that we'll get to see all the material anyways.
True.
So that we still may not get the material, and then they're going to say, look, this franchise is not going to work. So then we don't ever get it.
Yeah, true.
But
fair enough.
Oh, well, something's better than nothing.
Not always.
Well, for the diehard fans, something's better than nothing. So then they have something to complain about.
Yeah, see, now I got Sword of Truth in my head. I'm like, nope.
That's exactly where I was going.
I would have rather not had it.
I have Dark Tower in my mind.
Ooh,
that how they took 6 books and tried to cram it into one movie was just insane. But hey, it's Hollywood.
Sorry, man. Wow, we're ending on quite a downer note here.
Hey, it's like negative 20 degrees here.
Wow, can you make it any better?
So wherever you are, it's probably nicer than here, because the most northern city in Alaska is warmer than where I'm sitting right now.
Yeah.
And they only get like 4 hours of light. So All right. Well, until next time.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.